Got a lot to talk about today. Second day voluntary workouts. Got video for you. Potential trade. I will talk about it. And Tua and Chris Grier met with the media. So I got a lot to talk about. This is going to be probably about a half-hour long video, but a lot of you guys like these long videos. So without me flapping my gums, let's jump into this. What is up, Fin fans? Yes, like I said, got a lot to talk about in this video. I'm going to jump right into it. First off, I'm going to talk about Deebo Samuel. A lot of people are talking about Deebo Samuel. There's the connection with the Miami Dolphins. There's a connection with Mike McDaniel. And he wants out. He wants out of San Francisco. They saw what, I don't remember the receiver, if I'm being honest with you, that got that signed. You comment below and let me know. I don't think it was DJ Chark. Might have been. No, because he signed with the Jaguars for like $20 million a year. Did not deserve that contract. So now all the, AJ Brown, Deebo, Scary Terry, McLaurin, all these guys want a new contract that is equal to that. Even though they really didn't do much to get those types of maybe AJ Brown, but didn't get those types of contracts. But they see what happened with the Jaguars kind of messed everything up. So he wants a new contract. And 49ers like, meh, I don't think you deserve it quite yet. So he wants out of San Fran. Now, again, there's the connection. He had lunch with Mike McDaniel and, all those rumors. Here's the thing, right? I wouldn't – if he wants as much as that, it would be crazy to have him and Tyreek Hill making about $20 million a year. Then eventually you have to pay Jalen Waddle. Then eventually you have to pay Mike Gesicki. Then you see what I'm saying? So it's like you got Tyreek Hill, which is one of the best receivers in the NFL. Well, that's what's holding me up on pulling the trade off and thinking it's going to happen is because of the contract that he wants. Also, the trade compensation. What are you giving up? Byron Jones, draft picks, all that stuff. So I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but I don't think it'll be likely to happen. We'll see how that all pans out, right? Then I got some videos for you guys from voluntary training camp today, voluntary minicamp day 2. And after we look at these videos, I'm going to jump into the press conference. We're going to start with GM, and then we're going to end it with Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm going to pop it up real quick. Right here we have the running back, the linebackers running off the field here. I don't think there's any sound on this one. Maybe there is, and maybe it's just not working. I'm stretching out here. I think that's all defense right there. Defense again, punching the bag. Let me slide over here. Defense punching that bag. Handoff drills here with Tua and Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater's in the front here. This is Teddy, back there's Tua. Handoff drills. Tua passing it off to Mike Gesicki. Great play there. Again, I'm not dwelling nor thinking too much about the distance of these throws. It's all warm-ups. They're literally in shorts and jerseys. Some running back drills or route running drills, yeah. Because I see Tyreek Hill is up next. Here he comes. Planting the feet, getting around the corner. I don't know if you guys seen his glove. His glove has the peace sign on his hand. I'll see if I can find the image of that. It's ridiculous. For clips from today's minicamp. Again, this is the last day of minicamps, and then they don't get back together till May for OTAs, organized team activities. One of you guys asked me on Twitter, what the heck does OTA stand for? Organized team activities. They don't get back together till May-ish, I think middle to end of May. And then OTAs start. Then they have mandatory minicamp in June. And then training camp. But, and I also forgot to mention yesterday the Dolphins brought back Benito Jones, defensive tackle, was on the practice squad a lot for the Dolphins last year. So now we're going to jump into what Chris Grier had to say. Very interested to see what he has to say, and then we'll go into Tua. They're both about 14 minutes each. So, again, this video is going to be a little lengthy. But I'm interested in what he has to say because they have 4 picks this year. So is it a possibility they trade up? Is it a possibility they trade away? So we'll see what he has to say. Let me scoot over, pop it up, and let's listen.
Start. Those guys are been very good to us and spent some time with those guys. So very excited to see them. I'm off to a great start, and then looking forward to the Panthers with their run here. They spent some time here this summer as well, and it's great to see those guys, the work they've put in, and obviously my brother's with the Rangers, so I'll root for them, except for against the Rangers. But I wish them a lot of luck too as well.
The Panthers
are off to a great start. Good young team. I've watched them a couple times here, so good time for South Florida sports, and good luck to Inter Miami. And I think they're like third round versus like the B team or whatever in North American soccer. So it's a good time to be a South Florida sports fan.
So yeah, good luck to the Rangers as well. Rangers and Panthers.
Yes.
And the Mets. So Tyreek.
No, Red Sox. Come on. No.
So Tyreek Hill is sort of your first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you psychologically think of it that way, and how do you think his skill set compares to, for example, some of the first round receivers this year and recent years?
Yeah, no, like we were trying to figure out what we were going to do on draft day, and one of the guys said, he goes, well, just watch Tyreek highlights, in the draft room and make us feel good. But, it's unfair to compare any of those kids to Tyreek's skill set, coming out. He's such a unique talent, and even yesterday on the field, he made a play and went down, and then he popped up, like no hands, like flipped up right off the ground, and we're just like, look at this guy. He's just so explosive and springy, and just the way he works out in practice, his work ethic's unbelievable. So again, it's a talented class of receivers, but obviously you can't compare them to Tyreek at all, and for what he does and what we feel he does in this offense, and what a great fit he is.
Chris, for this specific kind of draft cycle, obviously a couple weeks ago you shipped off a lot of your picks. Since then, have you found yourself kind of changing the process at all in terms of maybe how many guys you're sending out to pro days and whatnot? And big picture, there's been a lot of talk about the Rams kind of changing their scouting process and the information that they're relying on. How have you seen your scouting department's kind of overall process kind of change over the years?
Yeah, we haven't changed our process, because I think you end up shortchanging, the organization if you do that, because at the end of the day,
you never know.
You never know when opportunities arise.
You never know what's going to fall.
To do something, whether make a move or not, or if a player falls, you think there's a chance to go get them.
Exactly.
So you have to work through your process and be ready to answer all questions. And at the end of the day, you never know. This could be a trade a year or two on a player, and if you haven't done your work, and you've just because you don't pick till 102, it can end up hurting you when you don't have all the information if those opportunities arise. So for us, we had guys who were out all pro days. Coaches are out. Coaches are doing private workouts. They still have some private workouts going on here the next week or so. So for us, it's been full steam ahead. The personnel staff has done a tremendous job, and the coaching staff, Mike and the coaching staff, these guys enjoy getting out, getting to meet players, bringing them in. So the private workout stuff, it's been exciting, and I think the coaches really enjoy getting to know these players too as well.
If no center is drafted in the third or fourth round, someone that you feel can legitimately compete with Michael, would you at that point sign a veteran center? Not to get into any names, but if you could shed some light on the thinking with that, do you want to go through the draft before deciding whether to sign a veteran center as competition or depth?
Yeah, I think, like we've always shown, we'll always keep looking at players, Barry. We'll keep digging and going through once the draft's over, but I think we also have an opportunity post-draft to add a lot of players through the undrafted free agents.
He's talking about the undrafted free agent, but also Foster and Ingram. It could happen before the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens after the draft.
College free agency too. So there'll be some players that always fall through the cracks. They don't get drafted, and we've spent a lot of time. The coaching staff and the scouts have been a tremendous amount of time and effort to really study the back end of the draft, as we should. And so we've spent a lot of time trying to identify players at all positions across there. But at the end of the day, we'll still, like we've always had, we've added players every year, over the summer, and we'll keep doing that.
Kind of conventional wisdom is this might not be as top-heavy is not the right word, but having the same number of elite players, prospects as in years past. Do you agree with that? Has that kind of shaped your opinion as to why you've traded out a lot of the picks from this year's draft?
It's always difficult because everything's a projection. So people always say that. Then you look back at some drafts and you're like, wow, look at those. 12 of those first round picks are guys are maybe Pro Bowlers every year and Hall of Fame guys in the future. So every draft has their strengths and weaknesses by position. So I think for us trading those picks really had nothing to do with how the draft looked. It was the opportunity to acquire Tyreek Hill, just a special talent for what we were looking for. So at the end of the day, every draft will be judged 3 years from now. How it looks.
That's why I did it.
And every year we go through is where some people think it's not strong or weak, and I think you really got to give these kids 3 years to really develop and see where everything stands.
Chris, was it assess the strength and the weaknesses are in this draft?
Yeah, I would say the offensive line group. It's a pretty good offensive line group. I think there's some talent all the way through from the tackles, the guards, centers. All the way into the mid rounds. I think you can find some good quality players. Like everything, everyone's always looking for, the pass rushers. And I think there are some high level rushers in this draft. And then, at the end of the day, then there'll be some projection guys that have some upside to work with. So I would say the big offensive line to me, I think, is the one real strong position in this draft.
Chris, was it a concerted effort on your end to hang on to those first rounders next year when putting together the Tyreek trade?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It was important for us to keep those 2 picks because
that's why I don't think they're gonna trade
so
them for
much
Deebo.
to acquire those before. So I think for us, when you make a move for Tyreek like that, you also want to be prepared to have picks for the future. And having those 2 picks and then picking up the pick for Devontae, another third, gives us 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, with 2 1s and 2 3s. So we feel good about that heading into next year, into 2023.
What you guys were able to accomplish in free agency and what you think it looks like in the draft, do you think you've given Tua the pieces around him to succeed, maybe in a way that wasn't the case the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think a lot of that too is it has to do with Coach McDaniel and his coaching staff. Kind of the offense that Mike does and what he's building here, and what his philosophy's been. I think yes, we've added some pieces on offense as well, but a lot of it fits what Mike's looking for too, and I think, and a lot of it does fit what Tua does well, and I think we're all very excited, and I know Mike has been raving about Tua here over him and Coach Bevel, their time working with him and spending time with him in the meeting rooms and watching him on the field here yesterday. So yeah, we're very excited for him and looking forward to this season, how he keeps progressing.
Chris, obviously anything can come up at any point, but as we sit and stand here now, does it feel unlikely that the Dolphins would be looking to aggressively move back into the first round of this year's draft?
Yeah, like I said, we'll always listen. If there's an opportunity, if there's a guy that we think is a special talent that is falling or something, that we'll look into it. But I wouldn't say never. But we'll we'll always keep looking and investigating everything.
I could see possible, and I don't see this happening. That top center falls into the second. There's a possibility the Dolphins can trade back into the second, but getting back into the first would cost a lot.
Chris, you mentioned Devontae a little while ago. How much hesitation was there into trading him to a team within the division? And also the idea of picking up the pick next year as opposed to this year, was that preference or the way to go?
Yeah, I think more, you've seen over the last couple of years more teams doing interdivisional trades, which before when I first started in here, you would never do that, I think the last time we did it was with our current receiver coach, which didn't turn out well for us then.
Yeah.
But I think when you have an opportunity to do right by the player and the organization, both sides feel good about it. Like I said, this was never anything where we planned to trade Devontae. Once we made the trade for Tyreek, we received multiple phone calls, and I think most teams assumed that, we'd signed Cedric Wilson, traded for Tyreek, that, and had obviously with Waddle here that Devontae was the guy that would be available. So multiple teams called. The Patriots were the most aggressive. And at the end of the day, worked with the agent, talked to Devontae, wanted to do right by him too as well. But getting that third round pick was very important for us. And we are fine if it was this year or next year. So.
Chris, you talked about the excitement of this process. As a GM, is there anything maybe that stands out to you or something that's like a favorite for you in this process, or is it all business?
It's just all business. It's like everything. It's, when I have a teenage son that, follows, he's on Twitter and everything, and I'm not on it. He's like, before we made the 2 moves, he's like, man, everyone hates you in South Florida. They're like, you're not doing anything. And then, we get Armstead and make the trade. He's like, man, everyone loves you now. And I'm like, and I said, hey, it's the nature of the beast. And as you guys know, I said I appreciate the job you guys do, and I don't take anything personal, and I don't read stuff purposely because I enjoy the communication we all have, and I don't want to walk in here and be mad at you guys and like I'm not answering that guy's question so for me it's just business as usual, and I'll be excited if we ever win a Super Bowl here. That'll be my excitement.
When you set up a roster the way you have this
Don't mind me,
offseason,
I'm just fixing the camera.
you go into a draft, are you more inclined to just go for needs you can gamble more? I mean, even though you have less picks, you can gamble more with the picks?
No, I think when you have those few picks as we do, I think you got to be right on them. And so I think
real quick, let me just jump in here real quick. I find it funny that his son is on Twitter, and it's like, wow, they hate you here. 'Cause we were getting pretty impatient, but we also didn't know what was happening behind the closed doors, though. That was fun. Also, friggin' light from over here shining in, blinded my face over here. All right, let's jump back into this.
Deliberate and measured of what the roster and what that guy's role on the roster is going to be and how he fits. So obviously there'll be an occasion where if that special guy is there to take that risk on something, you will. But I think when you're picking 3rd, 4th round and then 2 in the 7th, you got to kind of make sure what you're getting and who it is and how he's going to fit on the team.
Yeah.
You talked about Tua earlier. The team, there was a shift from previously shopping around for a top quarterback to now putting a firm commitment into Tua. What led to that shift?
No, I think as we finished the season here and going, as we were moving here and we were moving on to the coaching search, I think at the end of the day, we just decided, and as we were talking to each candidates, they were just talking about how much they had studied Tua and what they liked about him, and all of them felt excited and wanted to work with him, felt that they could win with him. So I think as you go through those process and those interviews, you kind of know if someone is kind of just saying what you want to hear just because they want a head coaching job, or the level of detail when they talk about things and their history and the research they've done and showed that they were truly really believed in them, as we do. And so it was an exciting time. And then, once we hired Mike, it was just full steam ahead.
I know, Chris.
That's interesting that he says that, because a lot of people assume that he said whatever he needed to say, Mike McDaniel, to get the job in Miami, and Chris Grier saying the opposite. And he's also saying that the reason that the Miami Dolphins hopped off of the Deshaun Watson trade was, and this is what I'm getting from him, is most, if not all, of the candidates that they interviewed for the head coaching job raved about Tua and what they could do with Tua. So I'm assuming they thought, if people can do something with the guy that we think can be something, and if a lot of people can make him into something, we could save those draft picks that we'd have to give up for Deshaun Watson.
Chris, I don't know if you saw, but after the Super Bowl, Rams GM Les Snead had the Tim Pick shirt after that, and there's been some memes with you having that as well. I'm curious what your thoughts about that, and maybe the trend of trading picks all in for
Well, I said my kids have told me there's been a lot of memes on me, both good and bad. So, I think Les, deserves credit for how they've done it. They won a Super Bowl, known Les for a long time, and he has a very unique way of looking at things, and it's paid off. So, I still believe in building through the draft. I think the draft's an important part of building your team and having young assets to work through, but we've shown that we'll always be aggressive, if it comes to acquiring a good player, or at least attempting to, and we've done that. So I would say that, for us, the ability to get good players and where we were as young as we are on this roster right now, and knowing that we had the 2 first-round picks in 2023 enabled us to, be aggressive and make a move like that. And we had talked to a number of teams about a number of players, so we were being very aggressive, across the league trying to find players. And Tyreek was not one that ever thought would happen. And
I don't think anyone did.
A lot of credit to Brett Veach and Coach Reed. Working with them was great, and I'm sure they were frustrated with us at times as we were frustrated with them, but it ended up working out well.
So Grier said a lot of interesting things in there, especially when it involved Tua, involved the draft picks. He said he didn't do it because of the depth and the talent here. I thought it was interesting. He stuck to his word. He was going to be aggressive, and there was a lot of stuff that we didn't know behind the scenes, so a lot of us were assuming he's not doing anything. But we'll see. And again, the fact that he said, you do your due diligence because you never know, it's very true. He said that they're not planning on trading up in, but you never know who might fall. So we'll see how that all pans out. But now we're going to jump into Tua's media availability. It's about a 16-minute. So again, here we go, boys.
Dang, I know you guys have a lot of questions. Man.
So what's it like throwing a Tyreek Hill?
It's fun. You catch glimpses of his speed. And, you obviously have played against him, seen him play in other games, seen his highlights as well. I mean, dude's explosive. He can turn a negative 2-yard swing route into, the 20-yard touchdown or a 20-yard gain. So it's pretty cool. It's exciting.
Do you feel a renewed sense of the franchise backing you this offseason after there were so many trade rumors swirling in the past?
Well, I think it's, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much things that have happened, a lot of changes, and a lot of good changes, I guess, with the people that we've picked up, the guys that we've acquired as well. Just the locker room feels different. And we're all excited. This is the first time I've seen, a lot of, guys show up to phase 1 of OTAs. And a lot of veterans are showing up to it. I think that speaks a lot to, Mike and the relationship that he has with a lot of the guys on the team, and the amount of respect that he has from the players in the locker room.
So there's a school of thought that says that the Dolphins added quality receiver on the offensive line at running back, and now it puts more pressure on you. Not just pressure, we know you had pressure all along, but more pressure on you. How do you respond?
Well, I think pressure is going to be there every time. I don't feel more pressured that we have acquired all these guys, but it's more of an opportunity that I get, that we all get as a team, to show what we can do this year.
Because while I was talking, I was thinking that every quarterback has pressure on them. The Bills, Josh Allen has pressure to finally make it to the big game. He keeps being talked about one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Well, he needs to prove it by getting to the big game. Aaron Rodgers has pressure to, again, win another Super Bowl. He's seeing all these other quarterbacks do it. It doesn't matter a veteran, how good you are. They all feel the pressure. All of them.
What's been your primary focus in your training this offseason?
Well, towards the scheme of this offense, I've been kind of switching up my footwork, been working on different footwork and drills as well. So that's really been it. Normal lift, condition, get in shape. But other than that, the point of emphasis has really been my footwork.
And I've noticed that. I kind of broke it down a lot in his film breakdown throughout the year, that you notice sometimes he's wide-legged on some of his throws. Sometimes he's throwing off the back foot. And all of these things, you get footwork down, you plant your feet, you get the motion going. That puts more torque on the throw, and you can get the deeper balls out there quick. So footwork is very important. I noticed he was a little sloppy on his footwork.
I know it's just the third week you started minicamp, but what do you like about this offense? And I believe that you did kind of operate in a similar offense with Steve Sarkisian in Alabama, but what do you personally like about this offense?
Well, we've only had 2 days of really, kind of getting into the offense, so there's not much installed within the run action, play passes that we have. But it's very similar to what I've ran at Alabama, which in a sense makes it a little easier as far as verbiage and whatnot. But that's still a challenge. Is kind of learning the verbiage, learning where everyone's going, hearing, Mike or hearing Frank or whoever it is, in the headset, trying to give the call and then recalling it to the offense. That's still something that got to continue to get better at.
So what's your relationship with Mike been like over the past couple months?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the videos of him at the luau. I think that speaks a lot. That's kind of how the relationship has been. Very supportive. Wants to hang out. I go up there to his office, tell him, I got a couple of the guys coming over to hang out, and he feels bad, that he didn't get an invite to come over and hang out. So, it's been a really cool relationship. It's been different, but it's been super cool.
I find it funny. So when Tyreek Hill, I just need to address this real quick because I've heard it a lot. When Tyreek Hill got traded to the Dolphins, a lot of people were like, why isn't Tua making a public announcement or saying, hey, come hang out, yada, yada? Because when Parker went to the Patriots, Mac Jones said something. And when Devontae Adams went to the Raiders, Derek Carr said something. Maybe that's not Tua's thing. Have you really ever seen Tua on Twitter? Just talking now that he had the guys over hanging out. So obviously he hangs out with his teammates. Why do we always got to make something out of nothing? Just saying.
What does that support mean to you from your coach?
Well, I think support for any of us as players means a lot. We understand that, the NFL, it's a tough, industry. It's tough to play because you're playing against the best every Sunday. But to be able to have support of the head coach, the head guy, that should tell you a lot.
How much work do you feel like you've put into becoming a better leader and having more of a leadership presence on this team?
Yeah, I think the cool thing about being, on this team under Mike is Mike doesn't force you to be what you're not or what you don't want to be. If, this is how you lead, that's all he wants you to do is lead the way you lead. He doesn't want anyone to, poo that guy to the side, tell him how bad his route was and whatnot and, come back to the huddle. It's more like, hey, go talk to the guy, tell him what your thoughts are. He'll tell you what your thoughts are. You guys meet in the middle and, that's what that is. And so for me, I'm not a guy to go, screaming at the defense if they bust the coverage and we're trying to, get some work. I'm just one that after all of that, when our set is done, I'll go over and, kind of talk to them like, hey, we really need you guys to help us on this because, if you guys don't give us the looks, then, we're not going to be able to execute that right in the game. So, for me, my leadership role on this team hasn't changed. Just be myself. And what more can you ask?
But Tua can't read defenses.
In throwing this offseason after you've had to come back from multiple injuries in the past, do you feel a refreshed sense of being able to put a little extra on throws? Do you feel that?
I don't feel any of that at all. I think the most important thing is timing with these guys. These guys are going to get there. You just lay it up to a spot for them and have them go get it. So that's what we've been working on throughout this voluntary veterans minicamp, and I think we've done a good job. We had a lot of fun today.
Were you surprised by the coaching change?
Was I surprised by the coaching change with when they hired Mike?
Ryan and then hired Mike.
Well, I would say I have no comment towards any of that. Just because I don't come up with those decisions. I don't make those decisions, so no comment.
Tua, there was a lot said about you and Flo's relationship. What would you consider you and Flo's relationship?
Big question. That's a big question, huh? Well, I'll tell you this. I'm very thankful that he drafted me to come here to play for the Miami Dolphins. That's what I'd say.
He said a lot without saying anything. And he said he's very thankful he drafted him to come play for the Miami. Not Chris Grier. He drafted him to come play for the Miami Dolphins. And that's it.
So I remember I think sometime after the Tennessee game, you said that you were going to try to find somewhere cold to throw and practice
Mac, this one's for you.
those kind of situations. Were you able to do that this offseason?
Yeah, I went up to Maryland. I went up to see my brother. Got to throw there for some time. And it was actually snowing in Maryland.
There you go.
When I went up there. So got to do that. Huh?
Crab cakes.
Oh, no, I didn't get no crab cakes. Yeah, I didn't get no crab cakes.
What was the experience like for you throwing in the snow? I don't know how often you've ever had to.
I don't know. It to me in the snow it was a lot. I don't know. For some reason it was a lot. It was a lot easier. Might have been a lot better to throw in the snow. Whereas if it's just cold and windy, I don't know. The ball just freezes up for some reason, and it just. I don't know what the science behind that. If you guys can get that, that'd be amazing. But I don't know what that was.
You being from Jersey, right? We get all the different types of winter here. It's complete. He is 100% right here, because you can get snow where there's no wind. It's just snowing like crazy, and there's no wind, and it is super easy to throw a football in that weather. But then you can get like a ridiculous snowstorm, or you can get just ridiculous freezing rain, and when that sucker's blowing sideways, it's hard to throw in. But the fact that he has gone up and played in the cold, I think hopefully a lot of you people that were questioning that, and like I said, Mac, guy on Twitter that follows me, he kept asking about this. There you go.
So
I heard on the Audible or Dolphins podcast, sorry if I called it the wrong name, you talked about 6 offensive coordinators, 6 offenses since Alabama. How has that impacted your development or ability to learn offenses? Obviously, because 6 offenses probably have 6 different languages.
Yeah. Really, you just get used to studying, and you just get comfortable studying. That's all it is. Get comfortable with the verbiage. Get comfortable with where everyone needs to go. For me, I like to draw it up when I can say it. So I'll say it. I'll draw it up where everyone goes, and then I'll have my brother, my dad, someone test me, quiz me on it, and then from there, then I'll go outside, in the backyard, and then I'll move my dad or my brother or whoever's out there, my mom sometimes. I'll move them, telling them, hey, you're the Z now, or you're the X, or you're the Y, just so I can picture it better. And so when we do come out here, it's a lot easier when guys do ask, hey, where do I go and what do I run? So.
Learning the playbook, knowing the playbook, receivers coming up to him, asking him what to run, where to run, because he knows the playbook. I don't want to hear anymore that he doesn't know the playbook. He knows the playbook. He's a very physical learner from what I learned, which so am I. I'm very, hands-on learner.
What's that like having your family in your backyard and having them line up and run plays?
I tell you what, they enjoy it. They really enjoy it. I guess my parents, they really enjoy it. My brother, it's one of those things where like, hey, like how many more do we have? But my parents, they do everything that they can to help me succeed. So they don't mind at all.
What do you think his addition will mean, just stabilizing the offensive line and for you specifically?
Yeah, I think with Teron Armstead being here, his leadership, him being a veteran in the league, him knowing so much and playing under a quarterback like Drew Brees prior, and then him being able to help me, and how to help lead the offense, you know, how to pull guys to the side and do certain things. You know, just his leadership. He hasn't been out to practice yet, but yeah, just him being around the building. He's a really nice person, a really good person.
You can't invite the head coach to hang out.
Ah, you can. This one you can. Yeah, no, this one you can.
We see he's different. He's that cool. Like you guys.
Yeah, no, he's that cool. Yeah.
What's it been like working with Coach Bevel? You haven't really had a quarterbacks coach who's had so much experience and worked with so many
one of the best
fantastic,
coach
amazing
we've had.
quarterbacks.
Yeah. I didn't know that Coach Bevel coached Brett Favre, coached Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. I mean, those aren't some small time names. Those are, you know, big time guys. It's a privilege, you know, to have him in our quarterback room. Now have Teddy in our quarterback room, and then also Dan sitting in our quarterback room as well. A lot of knowledge there. So, you know, being able to pick all of their brains and hearing what they have to say, you know, I think it's good.
What's your expectation for yourself in year 3?
Help our team win games, and as much games as we can.
Good answer.
So outside of working on your game this summer, what are your plans between now and the start of training camp? What are you going to do away from football?
Away from football? Golf.
Excuse me? How dare you golf? Again, it's another type of physical sport. Good. Golf. Stay in shape.
Probably golf. That's it.
Too much golfing.
It's all right. It's all right. The best I shot was at 81. Anyone in here shot at 81? Woo. No lessons, though. No lessons. I never took lessons. All YouTube, baby.
So have you watched tape of Cedric Wilson, and could you talk about the specific skills you think he's going to bring?
Yeah. With Cedric, I thought he was a lot smaller for some reason. Maybe the number 1 made him look extremely slim when he was with the Cowboys. But you know, I thought he was a very shifty guy, a very small, shifty guy. But he's actually really, really big. He's tall, he's lanky, and he can move, which surprises me. Normally, tall guys, you know, can't move as quick and, you know, aren't as shifty.
He's not wrong.
But you know, it's cool to see him out there running routes. You know, he's done a good job thus far within our voluntary veteran minicamp. So excited.
Tua, you mentioned Teddy. What have been your early impressions of him as a guy, and what kind of working relationship are you looking forward to having?
Well, I'm looking forward to having a relationship the way, you know, I have with our quarterbacks coach and our head coach with Teddy. I would say that's the same relationship I had with Fitz and the same relationship I had with Jacoby last year. A bunch of good guys, and you know, can learn a lot from Teddy. Teddy's been in the league for quite some time, and you know, he doesn't talk much, but when you do decide to talk to Teddy, you know, he'll open up a little and he'll share whatever you ask him. So, you know.
Have you watched every throw you made last year? Or if you haven't, do you plan to? And when you watch, or if you've already done it, you emerge with what thought as far as where specifically I need to be better?
Yeah, I watched not every throw last year. Well, I have watched every throw last year. If you want to say we've watched film last year, yeah. But I sat down with the head coach, and we went over about 150 clips of throws. You know, throws that, you know, need to be better, throws that were good, you know, all sorts of throws. And the reason as to why he showed me that is it transitions to, you know, the way, you know, he kind of schemes up the offense. And really the biggest thing for us is yak. Is yak. So we want to yak the heck out of teams.
One thing that Mike McDaniel pointed out is that while he does have a specific system and scheme, he does want to tailor it to his players' skill sets. Just how much input have you had in kind of developing that playbook, and maybe what's that process kind of been like? You talked about, you know, going through clips of you throwing and whatnot. What's that process been like?
Yeah, for me, that process has just been me studying the formations and studying what they have as far as install with pass plays. It's really early on as to trying to fine-tune things right now within the playbook. But I'm sure when training camp hits, then that's when everyone will start to have their input within the play calls, the formations, how things should be called, why we don't want to call it this, why we should call it that, things like that. All the fun things, huh?
Again, some really good things from Tua, especially talking about sitting down with the coach, watching film, him talking about, in 150 clips, what he's looking for in the offense, what he's looking for in his throwing motions. Very, very interesting stuff from Tua, especially him working out in the blizzard, all that good stuff. So very, very interested to see him continue his success and hopefully continue to grow. But that's the video. That's what I got for you today. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to be breaking down the centers. Next week, I'm going to do a mock draft next week. And then I think either Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to go live and I'll do a Q&A. I was supposed to do a Q&A video for you guys for hitting 30K in the off season. I think I'm just going to do a live stream doing 30K either Monday or Tuesday of next week. But other than that, guys, I'll see you probably tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. F ends up.